We believe you, that you're a believer. Thank you, talented musicians extraordinaire, and yes, second to none. And thank you for being the very solid foundation for a ministry called Unity, and for teachings that make possible creation of the world we sing about and pray about and claim that we want to create every single day. A world that works for all. So I'd love you to pause and acknowledge your role in that. The reality that you are a creation. There is a creator. And about the only time we're going to have stress is when we try to insert our agenda onto creator. When we have an agenda about how things ought to be, could be, should have been, would have been, we'll be stressed. Have you noticed? So yes, I'm a believer. Get a sense of that in your body. And then get a sense that yes, I'm a believer, and sometimes it's BS. Sometimes my belief systems get in the way. BS, belief systems. Where'd your mind go? We are creators. So the difference of then moving, we've had a revolution of self-help. Self-help, every book on your shelf. Self-help, every workshop, seminar, the whole new thought movement to some degree. Help, self-help. So let's make sure today that we don't get stuck in identifying with that self. And then in our empowerment to move through what we suppressed, depressed, disowned, and denied, that the focus becomes on the self. And if we're not careful, the focus on the self as the center of the universe. Instead of there is a center of the universe, and it ain't me. That I'm one of many, I'm big, I'm one part of a much bigger part. So get a sense this morning of what it would mean to you to move from existence to essence. And out of I want, I need, he should, he shouldn't, she shouldn't have, she shouldn't have, he better never, I don't want that again, I do want that again. And the stress of it. To what can I do in the situation I'm in? What would a sane, sensible, sober response to what's in front of me be like right now? Which holds all the power of the universe. All the power in the universe in that kind of discernment, that kind of pause, that kind of presence, and that kind of potential. So my mission, as far as I know, what Creator is doing with me is to get empowered teachings to the whole of the universe, to serve those who serve. This is what excites me. This is my passion. This is my devotion. This is how I inform my day. This is how my actions are governed. Whatever's going to move me toward serving those who serve and getting empowered teachings to the whole of the world. So I have given permission for anything that comes through me to be recorded and given away for free. At no charge, at no cost, at no enrollment. So there's a YouTube channel with Martha Creek's name on it for this purpose. Books. This is a compilation of work I've been doing over 20 years that's now in print. I've also read it out loud, and it's free for people who can't read or don't have the means to get a book in their hand. And I've brought this book here today to give you as a gift. So there's one waiting for you out there. And if you want my name in it, I'll be out there to put my name in it and confer another blessing onto you, that you have the consciousness to continue to grow yourself, to contribute to our evolutionary process and consciousness, a mystical consciousness that can shift from existence and what I want and what I need and what should be and what shouldn't be to there's a creator of all that is. And I'm aligning with that expression of creation as it is, changing what I can, accepting what I cannot, and ever, always awakening to the wisdom to know the difference of what I can change and what I cannot. So if you want the book, it'll be out there. If you don't want the book, don't take one. If you take it and it's not for you, please don't stick it on a shelf or put it in a drawer. Get it to the Goodwill. Get it to a doctor's office. Give it to somebody you don't like. Get even with them if you don't like it. Keep it moving on. Drive through a neighborhood and sling it out in a yard. Do anything you can to keep these teachings moving. And I've done this about 1,000 times now so far. 1,000 of these made for this, serving those who serve in ministries like this. And I often hear, I couldn't take the book, I couldn't receive the book without giving something. I understand that too. So there'll be a basket. And if that is your consciousness and you want to do it, put something in the basket. And then I'll take that money, go buy more books, take them to the next place, and give them away again. So you'll be a co-inspirator for getting empowered teachings to the whole of the planet in your actions today to do this. And those of you listening online, MarthaCreek@gmail is the way to contact me, and you can have a book too. So here are some chapters in the book. So maybe look at somebody sitting by you and tell them, hey, I'm glad you're here today. I'm glad you're here today. Hey, I'm glad you're here today. Now look back at those same people, those same persons, and say, however, what she's about to say is for me. However, this message is for me to hear. And this message is for me to hear. Chapter 1, define yourself to others and stay connected to them. Sound easy? I stand where I stand. I think the way I think. I believe the way I believe. I have my philosophies. And I allow others to have theirs. Sound easy? It's a practice, a spiritual practice. And it's the call for our emotional and spiritual maturity. The ability that I can develop to do this. And for those who do not think and believe and worship and vote and buy and spend and eat the way I do, guess whose business that is? All together? I've always wanted to have a little choir. Let's have one. Their business, their business, none of my business, none of my business. That belongs there. This is good news. Because every single time I get stressed, guess whose business I'm in? This is good news. So wake up, sweetheart. Knock, knock. Wake up. And thank you for leading us. Chapter 2, regulate your own anxiety. Regulate your own anxiety. Sound easy? This is what they mean on airplanes when they say, if something happens here that troubles you, put your mask on you first. Only then can you be of any earthly good to any other body. So in emergency rooms, it says before you start taking their pulse, take your own pulse. Regulate your own pulse first. How will you do that? So call to mind something right now that may have you a little worried, little jacked up, little distracted, or a lot distracted, a little PO'd, just a hair righteous, indignant. Guess how I know? Loco. So call to mind that situation, that person, that personality. Call to mind who's the matter with you. And notice the effects on your body. Notice the effects at just the image of that. And now take a big deep breath. And exhale. And 2 more big breaths and exhale. And notice what happened to the stress. What did taking 3 more conscious breaths do to regulate your system? We've been taught this. We've been told this. Every sage and seer since the beginning of creation has said, conscious breath. Be conscious of breath, of breathing, of being breathed to regulate our nervous system so that we're not coming from the reptilian part of our brain, that we're not stuck in that. Chapter 3, keep a clear distinction between facts and feelings. The facts of the matter compared and versus the feelings about the matter. So imagine you said, hey, Martha, will you join me for lunch today? And Martha says, thank you for the invitation, and I'm not available for lunch today. What are the facts of the matter? Person A invited person B to lunch. Person B thanked them and said, no, can't, not available, period. But what will the mind interpret about that? Well, don't she think she's all that? I saw that look. I heard that tone. I'm not good enough for her. I knew this about her. Who invited her over here to begin with? I hope they don't have her on the books the rest of the year. I don't want the likes of her around me. What's wrong with me? I shouldn't have asked. I should have known. So hi ho, off to hell we go. When we dive off into that feeling sewer. And not that the feelings are not valid. The feelings are here to wake us up. The feelings are here to say, choose again, beloved, choose again. You've misunderstood this. You have interpreted this. You have fallen off into a paradigm of BS, of old belief system that says, no, what happened is I invited her to lunch. She thanked me and said no. Period. And see, there's no stress there. But if we don't get a period in there, we put a comma in there. And then everything after the comma is torture. More self-hate, more blame, more shame, more guilt, more coulda, woulda, shoulda. What's wrong with me? So a clear distinction between what factually happened, what actually factually happened, and my feelings about what happened. And our feelings are informed by the interpretation we made way back then, between 3 and 6 years old. And when we looked upon it and made up what was happening, and then believed what we made up. So we're as innocent in it as can be. Can you get a sense of that today? Your own innocence. And I don't have to live stuck in that. There is another option. There is another way for me. So I sum these up. The summary of that chapter is power to the period. So she yelled at me. What happens in you when you believe she yelled at you? And what does believing that, what does that BS system cause you to do? She yelled at me. Versus she yelled, period. Woman yelling. Man yelling. And if I don't insert myself in it, if I don't subject myself to it, if I can stay objective to the way of it and not subject myself to it, I'll be more sober. I'll be saner, therefore more effective, therefore more empower. Chapter 4, profess my own values without attacking and judging others for theirs. Oh, the allure to straighten them out and enlighten them in the name of kindness, of course. For their own sake. Chapter 5, do not demand or expect that others will think, feel, and act like you do. Now this sounds like, well, who would do that? It's like, everybody. Point at yourself. Like, I do that. It could be something subtle. Like there'll be a table set up out there for those books. And if you're not careful, you'll go, well, who set up this table? I would never have used that table. That table needs a different cloth on it. Those books should be displayed differently. See, it's got an opinion about most things, everything. So it's me putting my way again onto creation. And then wondering why I'm stressed. And who's responsible for that table? Because I've got some talking to do. Instead of whose business is it how that table was set up? Whose business is it how that table is set up? Just get a sense of how much freer you'd be minding our own business, which we may come to see, and that may be on down the road, that what if it's all God's business? What if what we think and believe and pray and sing every Sunday is true? Then how much business of it is actually yours? Either. Chapter 7, take responsibility for your own anger. Or sadness, or despair, or loneliness. One of my minister friends says she's called me one day and said, I'm so lonely. And she swears that I said, I don't want to hear it. Now, I hope I didn't say it, but chances are, depending on how many times I'd heard it before, because you get about 3 with me, then I'm going to ask you questions like, what have you done about your loneliness today? What did you do today that moved you in a direction of less loneliness? So I'll be with you in your loneliness. You're innocent in it. It's part of our humanness. It's a part of our humanity. And then part of our humanity also is to innovate, to create, to cause, and to say, oh, I've got another option here. So what have you done about your loneliness today? And then she says, well, is it too hard for somebody to call me and ask me out? To ask me for a meal? To ask me to come over? I said, yes. Who have you called and asked over? Who have you invited in? This was not what she wanted to hear that day. So whatever it is I'm seeking is for me to give, for me to offer as I'm able to. And then she dramatizes it later by saying, she told me there's 8 billion people on the planet, call somebody. Have you got a phone book? Get it out, dust it off, and just randomly put your finger on some number and call them up. So it doesn't have to be that extreme, but what can we do that would move us in the direction of our own goals, which, if I'm not mistaken, is chapter 8. Live by your own goals. Make choices that move you in the direction of your own goals. So part of my moving out of existence to essence includes not only looking at all the feelings I have depressed, suppressed, and disowned since back there, but looking at what I disown about what's going on in the world. How I want to suppress that and depress that and disown that and pretend that. Instead of, wait, what could I do about some of that? So I can't do all of that, what the world needs, but I can do some of that. So I can't do all the world needs, but the world needs all I can do. All I can do. So for example, my little dear heart, 8-year-old teacher said, I don't feel right sometimes taking snacks to school because not every kid there has a snack. This is not a third world country. This is up the road from here. And I said, then we can do something about that. What could we do about that? And sharing the snacks we have Mother Teresa said, you all refer to us and the extreme poverty we're in here in India. We're not in poverty. You're in poverty because we would have a stalk of bananas and cut them in half to make sure twice as many people got a banana or a potato. And you've got stalks of bananas that you're throwing out, not even aware. So there's a difference in poverty. So we shop now. We have our money. We divide it up into three, her, she, and me, with money to spend, money to save, and money to give. So we go into our giving section and took out money and ordered snacks to be delivered to that school. So all the teachers in that school, 41 of them, could have a box of snacks in their room. So if a child showed up there that wanted a snack, they'd have one. And then when I'm there, I load up that big old car of mine, full as I can get it, and drive it over there. And they take it in the lobby, and the teachers come out there and get it to put it in their rooms. And most of them still can't believe it. Are they just free? You just give these away? Yes. And then some are like, well, we could do with some beef jerky if you don't mind. Like, in come the request. And then I got to stop in there and read them a story one day. And here they all come. Poke. Could we get some fiery Cheetos? Could we get some Takis? Yes. We can do something. Just like the lyrics of the music. What I believe in, what are my convictions in, and how am I going to go forward with this? So, you got a glimpse of 8 of 20 some chapters. And each chapter is its own powerful spiritual practice. Not to be theoretically understood, but to be embodied and then lived from. So as we close today, we know that this is not a closing, but a beginning. Like today, this morning, is an actual born-again experience. I am more awake as I go through those doors. I'm more aligned. I'm more atoned. I'm more conscious. I'm more evolved. I'm more mature. I'm more into what I actually believe and informing my actions to follow what I believe for discernment. And to continue to stop myself as I'm able when I catch myself out of my own business and imposing my agenda onto creation instead of joining the celebration of creation. Returning to the garden, returning home to what created me, to be still enough to know, and to practice. And practice makes progress. I love you all, and I'm here to serve you any way I can.
MarthaCreek.com if I can support you. Blessings.